Iceland is no Ireland, a state free of bank debt, Grimson says. So this is Iceland's president, Olafur Grimson, and he said his country is better off than Ireland thanks to the government's decision to allow the banks to fail 2 years ago. He said, quote, "How far can we ask ordinary people, farmers and fishermen and teachers and doctors and nurses to shoulder the responsibility of failed private banks?"
Unusual among traditional crisis countries with IMF programs, they did not have the kind of austerity that so often pushes an economy down.
They haven't done the total leverage buyout in Iceland that they've done in these other countries because Iceland let the banks go bankrupt, as they should, because Icelandic people are proud Viking stock, and they're not allowed to let some schmatas from Wall Street come in there and shtup the banking system for a few pennies or a few cod. That's not in the Icelandic spirit.
The direction which Iceland did, which having the shareholders and the bondholders be accountable, is absolutely essential, I think, going forward. I don't think that the problems are necessarily over yet. The debts are still in the process of being restructured. 2 of the major banks are foreign-owned. The financial sector in every country is often misaligned with the interest of the country itself.
Ministers say they are preparing to take legal action against Iceland to recover billions of pounds paid out to British savers following the collapse of Iceland's banks.
I think it's very hard to interpret this in any other way than the fact that the Icelandic people is not prepared to accept payments or shoulder burden unless there is a clear legal obligation to do so.
Foreign Minister Skarphéðinsson, thank you very much for sitting down with RT.
Well, it's a pleasure.
Iceland has recovered remarkably well following the 2008 global financial crisis. Can you briefly describe to me how Iceland came out of the circumstance they found themselves in 2008?
Well, you're right. We were the first country down during the crisis, but we were also the first country up. And what cut us apart from the rest of the countries in Europe that were in problems was the fact that we made an economic plan with the IMF and we stuck to the plan. We stayed the course, we took all the difficult decisions and we didn't budge. But, you know, we went a little bit a different way than the European countries. Instead of just adopting austerity measures, we also raised the taxes quite a lot.
So you think our banking crisis was bad in 2008? It was, but try Iceland's. That country's 3 largest banks failed. You heard me right. No bailout, no TARP. They just failed. Their banks took the same leveraged bets ours did, but their government took the opposite approach of the U.S. So did the world end? Hardly so, David.
Liz Klayman is in Davos, Switzerland at the World Economic Forum with a leader who had to make that tough choice.
David, the world hardly froze up and ended for Iceland. After the government let their biggest banks fail, sure, they had major problems, 10% unemployment. Their market lost 90% of its value. But today it is a much different story.